Welcome to the DigiMetaverse Show. I'm your host, Cooper Daniels, and this is your entry into the future of technology. That's right, folks. Today, I'm going to break down some of the basics. I'm going to talk about what exactly is Web 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, Tosh.0, you know, all of the things. And then we'll talk about what exactly is the metaverse. And after that, I've got an incredible interview with two brilliant guys. First, we got Yoshi Yegar, who has been a lead developer on the Digibyte blockchain since 2017. He's working on the DigiMetaverse Smart Layer, which is an innovative Layer 2 solution built on the Digibyte blockchain, and it's going to bring smart contracts to that very fast, decentralized proof-of-work chain. It could be a game changer, and I can't wait to hear more about it. Then, we've got Weinon Kuipers, who's a rocket scientist. He's been working on the internet since the beginning, and he's the co-founder, CTO of Digi3. Digi3 is working on corporate enterprise solutions, helping corporations enter the metaverse. I can't wait to talk to those guys, but before that, let's have some fun and dive in. And I'd like to say happy birthday. Happy birthday to the Digibyte blockchain. This week it turned 8 years old. If you don't know about Digibyte, Digibyte is the longest, fastest, most secure UTXO blockchain in existence. Transaction fees are minimal. It has come up with some incredible innovations over the years. It has something called multi-algo shield, which means there are 5 mining algorithms for Digibyte, increasing its decentralization. And it also has real-time difficulty adjustment. It saved Dogecoin back in the day. There's a lot to like about Digibyte, and we are fans of that blockchain at the DigiMetaverse Show, all right? Like I said in the intro, we've got some brilliant minds today. This is the episode 1 of the DigiMetaverse Show, and I thought it might be a good idea to define some terms. Like, what exactly is Web 1.0? Well, Web 1.0 is basically the internet of the 90s. And it was great. It aimed to democratize the access to information. It was innovative, incredible. It was, you know, a place where you could go to a chat room or have a personal website. The problem with Web 1.0 is that it was extremely hard to navigate and not user-friendly, right? So it was over a lot of people's heads. So then came the advent of Web 2.0. Now, Web 2.0 introduces us to people like Facebook, Amazon, Google, Twitter, you know, all of the different things. The tech companies that made the internet easy to navigate, made it fun, made us really connect to each other, and created a host of problems and also a host of solutions. It's pretty incredible, but the problem is as these companies and these tech giants got bigger and bigger and bigger, the internet is no longer decentralized. It's now run by these massive corporations. You don't own your data anymore. Your privacy is constantly at risk. We are not in charge of the internet anymore. It sucks. So that's why there is a huge movement towards Web 3.0. Now, Web 3.0 aims to eliminate all of these middlemen, wrestle back control of the internet and put it into your hands using blockchain technology. This is where we're headed. Now, you may ask somebody like Jack Dorsey, right? Jack Dorsey believes, what did he tweeted something recently. He tweeted, "You don't own Web3. The VCs and their LPs do. It will never escape their incentives. It's ultimately a centralized entity with a different label. Know what you're getting into." Now, okay, I get it, Jack. I get it. But here at the DigiMetaverse Show, we see past that. And I would love to have you on, Jack, to talk about it. You know, Elon also believes that maybe Web 3.0 is a fantasy. What did he say? He says Web 3 is more marketing than reality, and the metaverse isn't compelling. Look, guys, if you want to talk me out of my position, come on the show. I'd love to have you. Elon, Jack, you are welcome anytime. I'll bump any guest. Hell, you can have, what's his name? Kimball Musk can come on at this point. We're early on in the show, folks. I'll take Kimball. I think Jack's got a brother named Andrew. Andrew, you're invited. Let's come on, Andrew Dorsey. Let's do it. But yeah, there you go. So anyways, Web 3.0 aims to eliminate the middlemen and all of those huge, big intermediaries. It's built on blockchain. It's using cryptocurrency, and that's it. You'll earn money for your data if you want to share it. You'll own your identity. You'll have a secure, self-sovereign identity. All of these things that, if you're in this space, you should be concerned about. Decentralization, no single point of failure. These are the things that I'm interested in, and if you're watching this show, you're probably interested in it as well. And there's this idea out there that Web 2 companies will incorporate Web 3 ideas, and there'll be this we'll never actually get to a truly decentralized future. It's always going to kind of be run by Web 2 big tech, and they'll incorporate the Web 3.0 ideas. And I think that in the short-term future, that is probably true. But folks, at some point Netflix sent DVDs and had a streaming service. But how many of you still get DVDs from Netflix? Not many. Not many of you do. So yes, we will have a period where the Web 2 and Web 3 are incorporated, but eventually we will get to where we are headed. And that is the metaverse. Okay, so what exactly is the metaverse? Well, the metaverse is an embodied internet where you're actually in it, not just looking at it, right? And the metaverse isn't just, I think a lot of us think, okay, the metaverse is like, an Oculus on our eyes and, Oculus glasses and playing games and maybe kind of play to earn crypto games and stuff like that. That's definitely a huge part of it. And that is going to be the first iteration. But there's also going to be tons of different opportunities in the metaverse. There's going to be educational opportunities. If you wanted to go to MIT, you could obviously do online, but you're going to be able to actually probably be in a classroom. You're not going to have to live in Boston to go to MIT. You're going to be able to wear those goggles, be in a classroom, interact. There's going to be research opportunities. There's going to be social interactions, hangouts. There's going to be entertainment like concerts and gaming and all of the things, man. The metaverse is huge in scope. Now, clearly, this needs to be scaled, and the chip makers need to get to work because there's going to be a lot of power that's going to be needed. I think Intel recently said something about this, that the chip production and how sophisticated these computer chips are going to need to get is going to be intense. But we are headed that way. We already can do a lot of these things. So, for example, you're going to be able to walk into a shopping mall. As many people that want to can walk into the same exact shopping mall. You'll be able to purchase a digital item, an NFT of like a Rolex, you know what I mean? And you're going to be able to walk out of that mall, and your avatar or whatever is going to be able to wear that NFT Rolex. That's going to be awesome. Now, what's going to be key is interoperability, where you're going to want to be able to wear that Rolex in different worlds. If you want to go to a Meta Facebook world, or you want to go to Roblox or Fortnite, or more decentralized Decentraland or Sandbox, whatever, Axie Infinity, you want to be able to take your avatar and take it to each place. So you want interoperability. And this is gonna bring up a lot of different risks. We're gonna need security. We're gonna wanna own our identity. We're gonna wanna have a sense of privacy, and there's gonna need to be tools that are built. And we have two incredible guys today, like I've said, Yoshi Yegar and Vinon Kuipers, who are working at Digicorp Labs. And Digicorp Labs is working to create these solutions to secure your identity, to help you own your data. We're kicking off this series with a call to action, right? As we enter into Web3, as we enter into the metaverse, can we prioritize decentralization, interoperability, owning your data, maintaining privacy, right? Securing your privacy, all of those things. That's what we need. I need that, you need that, and we need to focus on that. Can we not allow Meta and Facebook to own all this? Can we not let centralized people that we can't trust Zuckerberg or any of these other massive corporations to do this. We've done that long enough, and you see how that works out. I'm excited about this conversation that we have with Yoshi and Weinand. And look, folks, let's do it. Let's hop in. And here it is, episode 1, the DigiMetaverse Show. So I'm here with Weinand Kuipers. He is the CTO of Digi3 and the co-founder of Threefold Tech, and Yoshi Yegar, the lead blockchain developer at Digicorp Labs and a lead blockchain developer at Digibyte. How are you guys doing?
Doing
fantastic.
Great. You?
Hey,
yeah, I'm great. I'm really excited to be talking to you both. You know, I asked some people in the community who they would like me to talk to, and I'm not exaggerating at all, the first two people they said was Yoshi and Weinand. So we're really lucky to have you. I think people are excited to hear from you, and I'm excited to hear from you. So because we're here, this is episode 1 of the DigiMetaverse Show, and you know, I think a lot of people might not know who you two are, or if they do, they want to know more. So let's just introduce, if you don't mind, just introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about who you are. Maybe Yoshi, we'll start with you, how you got into blockchain development, Digibyte and Digicorp Labs, etc.
That sounds great. Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah, where could I start? I'm a developer since age 12, age 13, something like that. I started developing and I loved it. I couldn't let go. Programming every day, something like that. Yeah, and how I got into blockchain is it's very. I loved my way the way that where I found in blockchain. It was like I was working as a software engineer in a small agency, and it was about 2016 when I graduated from university, and a colleague. So I didn't have a lot of money at that time. But a colleague came to me and talked about Bitcoin, and he was like, "Oh, he has put all his money in this cryptocurrency market." And I was like, "What? Isn't that a scam?" Yeah, I think that's the first reaction of everyone, right?
Right.
But he was talking about Bitcoin, about Litecoin, and yeah. So I got into that somehow. I think I invested like $100 in the very beginning. In Bitcoin when it was about $600 or $700 worth. It was crazy, right? I wish I invested more in that. But, and held. I was trading altcoins and things, but I stopped it because it was too stressful, and I really wanted to learn about the tech and read a lot. Everything I could read about the technology of Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum, I did that then, and it was kind of great. And then I found a post about Digibyte where they were doing some kind of a bug bounty for their iOS and Android wallets. And at that time, I didn't have a lot of money, and I thought, oh, I could try that because I'm a good developer. And yeah, it took me a few days, and I got rid of the bug, and that's how I got into Digibyte. And I could never go again. You know, it's even if I wanted to, the community is just too nice.
Not gonna let you.
It's not gonna let me go.
No, absolutely. And that was in 2017 that you found that bug. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
that's great.
I think so.
Yeah, and so now you're
done some research. Yeah.
Yeah, on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Okay. And so obviously we're going to talk more about Digibyte. We're going to talk more about Digicorp Labs and everything you're building over there. But so Weinand, you know, in the introduction, I talk about you're a rocket scientist. You've been working on the internet since the beginning. You co-founded Threefold Tech, and now you're here at Digi3, creating corporate enterprise solutions for them to enter the metaverse and everything. And so let's hear that journey.
Yep.
How you got to that.
Might be a little bit more long than
okay.
Joshi's, because again, I've been on this planet for almost twice the amount of time that he had. So I'm really pleased to be here. But yeah, my passion has been in terms of making the internet work in a different way. And I was lucky enough to see the internet in its inception. And in its inception, it was a medium for the researchers to share data. If we compare it to where we are today, it's not, right? It's all about a number of large companies that have taken it over and that rule the internet today. And that is fine in a certain way, where they have built that capability, where they have built all of the services that we use every day and that make us work and live and be social. But it's not the way the internet was intended. So I joined this group threefold about 5 years ago, which have been inventing other ways of developing, making capacity available to people to run applications, because that's what the internet is. It's running applications and it's running things for people. And it has been a long journey to actually not be able to run your own applications anymore, because nobody understands what the internet is. And we're here and we're now to sort of give that ability back to people and allow them to own their own data, own their own applications, and be their own selves on the internet. And that's, I think, where this journey starts with Digi3 going forward, building a new experience for people to actually see what they can do on the internet.
That's fantastic. And so, and the rocket scientist thing, just, this is for me. This isn't for, you know,
I knew you would go there.
And I
So me
want to
too.
know what this, yeah,
I wanna know
I
too.
want to know more about that. I mean, I'm so impressed. So what is, you know, tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, and this will get to where I, as a nerd, because I am a nerd in the end as well, just like Yoshi. Can I say that, Yoshi?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. I'm a different kind of nerd and a little bit older than you are, but I got to go to college, as they call it, or to university. I never know what to call it in English, and then I had to decide a subject. And what is the most interesting subject you can get if you are a little bit into, I don't know, beta and love math and whatever. So that's where I choose space technology. Fantastic study. I enjoyed all of it. But then when I got to the industry was so slow moving when I got there, which is the early 90s.
Right.
Slow moving. I mean, SpaceX, and we might touch on that later on, but
Yeah.
all of the things that are happening today are going at light speed compared to what it was in the early 90s. And I got really bored. I mean, the study and the university topics were interesting, but when I got to the industry and it was all government based and slow moving, and from inception of idea to actually shooting off a satellite was like 10 years. And I didn't like that. Wow. So that's why the internet took me over. And that's what I was going to say. That's why the internet was fast moving. And I was like, okay, fine. That is me. And I can find my purpose as well in that. So I did.
Well,
and again,
I mean, I think that says something about your instincts, because you were like, okay, this is slow moving in the 90s. And then you jumped into the internet, which is probably the quickest moving thing that we've seen in the last, I mean, obviously it is the last 30 years. It's absolutely revolutionized the way we do everything. So, and that's what we're here. We're at the Digi Metaverse show trying to talk about even the future of technology, because I think the change is continuing, and how quickly it's changing. It continues. So we're okay. Maybe that leads us, and it's going faster. And so okay, no, you're right. It's going faster. And so let's. I think that's a nice transition into a more general question. And I'll start with you, Yoshi. You know, so what are your thoughts about the metaverse, Web3, where all of this is headed, and you know where we are now and where this is headed?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Web3. I just discovered how great it can be because I launched other projects on that. It's like many people say it's a buzzword, right?
Right.
It's only a buzzword. The blockchain is a buzzword. Web3 is a buzzword. I kind of agree. They are definitely buzzwords, but the technology behind them, ownership, transfers, all those things, digital goods on blockchain, those things are real, and that's what I love about those buzzwords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And how about you, Winan? Like, what are you feeling about this? Like, because, like, you know, like you said earlier with SpaceX, you have people like Elon Musk. He's saying that, what did he say? He said that it's a buzzword basically. And like, oh, it's like more marketing, or, Jack Dorsey says that Web3 is not, because I think the idealistic idea about Web3 is that it's going to be based on blockchain. We're going to, like you said, we're going to own our own data, and there's going to be more self-sovereign approach.
Totally.
Yeah.
And thank you for asking that question. Like, we've forgotten, if we're being really honest with ourselves, what the internet was all about and what it was meant to be. Mm-hmm. And again, there's no judging here, but it was meant and it was invented by scientists wanting to share research with people across the Atlantic, right? Europe, mm-hmm. US. And mm-hmm. it was a fast way of sharing information, not faxes. I mean, if everybody that looks at this show even remembers a fax, but it was a fast way of sharing information. And that was really, really cool in the day. Again, I was a scientist for a short period of my life, and I enjoyed being that, and that was really cool. Now it's all about commercial. Now it's all about having a number of users on your platform, and having those users share data, even though that's what you sign off with terms and conditions when you join the platform. They actually can observe you, and that is all fine because you get a service in return, you get a product in return. And again, I don't want to mention any names here, but you get something for what you sign off on. And that's what the internet has become. And there's a plethora, a vast amount of services that you can get, either paid for or free. And the free ones are obviously more into collecting your data and understanding what you're doing and whatever. And I think the internet was not meant for that. And that's a very, very, very true belief that lives in my gut, that the internet was all, the word says it, it's interconnecting networks of people. Right. That's what I see in it. And that there's technology beyond it that says we're interconnecting and we're all colliding into the same platform and we're sharing photos there is just not the right way of doing that. And therefore, I think we're ready for something different, something new, something that is actually trying to move the other way. We've done 20 plus years of going into, again, let's say the word centralized ways.
Yeah.
Blockchains, digital currencies have made the first step into a decentralized world where no longer you trust your bank. And right. I'm not the really spokesman because I'm still more the IT nerd than the crypto nerd, but digital currency have showed the way. Like, you can really break out of that centralized model where you go to a company, a third party, whatever you want to call it, and give them your wealth, give them your money, give them your transactions, give them your life in the end in the digital world, and do it a different way. And that's where I think we've becoming more convinced in threefold, in Digibyte, in Digi3 now, as a coming together of the two, that we have to go that way to give the power back to people to make a decision. They can still go to any central bank, any centralized service that exists on the internet, but there has to be an alternative. That's what the digital currencies and the cryptocurrencies, specifically here, Digibyte, has shown. There is another way of actually doing value transactions between individuals, individuals and companies.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, okay, you brought up decentralization, and, you're talking about how the internet has become centralized now. It's, basically run by, these large server, Facebook and Google and all these different things. And that's where we want to get away from. And decentralization, this week, Yoshi, Digibyte celebrated its 8th birthday. You've been working on it since 2017. Wynan was just talking about Digibyte, and obviously incredible, like you got into this with Bitcoin, and which is obviously the beginning of what Wynan was just discussing. And then Digibyte is a fork of the Bitcoin code base and Litecoin and everything. So you work very closely on Digibyte. What are the strengths? What do you see that Digibyte provides? Maybe even to some people out there that don't know what Digibyte is, why is Digibyte important?
Because it's in fact the most decentralized blockchain in terms of security, but also mining power, mining hash rate. And it's very fast. And everyone who tries Digibyte at only once noticed that it's noticed that it's great, right?
Right.
I think
Absolutely.
this is the point. I mean, Bitcoin is great too, no doubt on that. It's a great technology, and it was the first one. And I think it's even more secure, just because of all the mining hash rates steadily increasing. But Digibyte is a great alternative for instant payments, like even what Jared likes to say. It's about what was the word again for that? Come on, I forgot about the word, but I think it's great for communication between decentralized nodes. Securing hashes on the blockchain. I think it's great for that too. So it's not only for transferring value, it's also for doing these kind of things, saving hashes. Maybe in future even executing smart contracts. That would be super cool.
Yeah, and I think that might lead us somewhere else here. So you both are working at Digicorp Labs, and like you said, a subsidiary of Digicorp Labs is Digi3, and so that's Digibyte, and then Threefold, and so that's kind of the marriage of the two. And so I think you both are independently working now, but the idea is that these two things are going to come together. So maybe I'd like to understand. Maybe in the audience would like to understand a little better what exactly you are individually working on at Digicorp Labs, and how those two things are going to come together, and how they're going to help secure us, in the future, and entering the metaverse and all that.
I'm sorry to be too quick, because I'm so anxious to answer this question.
Okay, good. Well, that makes my job easy.
One as well, but it's the perfect marriage. That's how I would describe it, between an IT play, which is just this data center server, let's host the applications that we do, and the blockchain play, and those two worlds need to come together, and those two worlds are coming together here. And again, this is not the only place, but I think it is one of the places that this will go very far. Because why? The Digibyte blockchain has stood, and I learned a great word there, is battle grade for 7+ years. And you said just the 8th anniversary happened, right? And that's a really important statement to make. It's been around, done by people for 8 years. It hasn't been hacked. There's been no loss of anything, right? It stood and withstood the actual wrath of the world. Just to, again, this might be too dramatic in English, but those are the words that come to me right now. So on the other side, Threefold is the culmination of people that believe that the world of IT needs to be simpler. It's so complex these days. We don't see it, but underneath all of the services that we use, there's a gazillion of engineers running around, and administrators that have access to all of our data, and that can actually see what we're doing. And those are the gods of the IT world today. And whether we like it or not, that's it. Our data lives in Facebook. I didn't want to mention any names, I now did, and our data lives in the other one, where they rely on people that actually make decisions on what goes and what not, and what is okay and what can stay and what not. And that needs to go. And having technology that can allow you in a decentralized way to make transactions, because in the end, the showcase that value transactions have shown is that you can sign in a very individual way with your private key to make a value transition between you and me. That's what you do in the digital currency world. We now have made a marriage with Threefold, where you can now have that same transaction capability to sign off on can I spawn this application to exist on the grid? Can I spawn this new existence to exist? Can I own my data with my digital private key that makes me the owner of the data and not others? And the two coming together is a beautiful way of actually making battle-graded technology on two sides now merge and be there and be available for people to enjoy. And again, it is very new. It is very much not in development because it's out there and production grade and it will go, but it's not yet understood as being a good alternative to market-leading clouds, to market-leading providers of services. And that's what we need to do in this DigiMetaverse show, to actually start to articulate that and say, hey, this is an alternative where you as a company, as an individual, as a metaverse participant can own your own identity, can own your own data, can own your own being online. And we're very much online beings already today. We are.
Right. Yeah.
Again, you asked
So
about
much.
earlier, but I'll leave you. Sorry,
No. Actually, I wanted to follow up. I wanted to follow up on what you're saying. So, okay, so with Digi3, right, and you approach, let's say you approach a corporation or an enterprise, and you say, we have a solution. So, what is the solution that you're approaching them with? I mean, what you just said, but what are the tools that are available to companies out there right now with Digi3?
So, step by step, and thank you for that. So, username, password, access to things needs to be, and mark my words, and I think Yoshi will second me on that, needs to be a thing of the past. Because we all choose easy passwords, and we all forget them, and we all reset them like 5 times a week. We all do those things, and they're not helping because we still use the same word, maybe change one or two characters, but that's it, right?
Yeah.
So having a way to do something different and being able to authenticate through a private key, and again, we need to maybe do a show on this particularly, but having and owning a private key which you manage your digital currency with is a unique thing where you can authenticate with as well. It's just a simple step forward. Just don't authenticate the transaction, just authenticate yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
DigiID has that. They built the technology, it's available here and now. And that's just a simple step to let go of the username password, something that we're getting used to, which we don't treat really well, and we need to let go of it. So we're doing and going forward on that. Secondly, we need to start making a differentiation in terms of where do we actually run our applications and how can we control our applications. And once we make that step to let go of username and passwords, a lot of the security threats go, because we cannot change or we cannot let go of the private key. We don't do that, and we don't make it guessable because it's a birth date or it's anything that we usually use to make up a password. It's nothing that people can actually socially engineer with us. It's a thing, it's there, and we manage it, and we manage it on our phone, we manage it on different ways, and that is the way to authenticate. But that can also be the way where we start managing our data, where we start managing our applications that are running, where we start managing a lot of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, so Yoshi, you mentioned earlier when we were talking about Digibyte, and hopefully that you'll be able to bring smart contracts to the Digibyte blockchain. And you're working on the DigiMetaverse Smart Layer at DigiCorp Labs, and this is a really exciting layer too, being built on top of the Digibyte blockchain. So, can you tell me a little bit about that? What outside of that, what is exciting about that?
It's so exciting because all existing solutions that I'm aware of run on proof of stake or some other kind of very centralized, or maybe even just to be criticized consensus. And I think it would be so cool to have smart contracts on a better proofed proof of work blockchain like Digibyte. I'm thinking about that I thought about that for a long time now, like almost 2 years, and I finally can start to work on this, and that's why I'm so excited about this. You can just imagine Ethereum has a block time of I'm not very sure, but I think 10 seconds, and Digibyte is just about the same. You know, it's a very very quick block producing blockchain with fast transaction speeds, and I think that's gonna be cool to have this on Digibyte too, and we are working on our asses off to make that happen. So, yeah.
Well, you mentioned Ethereum, and they actually are currently proof of work, right? And they're migrating to proof of stake. So explain. So in case anybody out there heard that and thought, wait, isn't Ethereum proof of work? So what? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They want to move to proof of stake. That's what I meant. Because they're running into scalability issues because they are layer one solution built on proof of work, and they're noticing that just in this moment. I mean, the gas fees are they're
unusable.
They're out of the roof. It's crazy. Yeah. And I experienced that. I lost a lot of money when paying gas fees. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And
then also, just so I can interject, and then all the solutions to scale Ethereum end up being more centralized. And Vitalik Buterin even admits that most of the solutions that are out there right now are, at least on the spectrum of decentralization towards the centralized way. So, and what you're building on top of the Digibyte blockchain, is that going to have a unique decentralization, or how does that look?
Can I take that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Before you do, I think in order to get down to really the nuts and bolts of that, how does the Ethereum blockchain run today? And if you think about it, and if you reason about it, the numbers are that people contribute, people want to run whichever shapes of nodes they have, but they go to the standard cloud providers to run them, because there's only a few, and Yoshi is one that can probably run it at home and has the knowledge to do so.
Right. That's true,
Bare metal, buy a piece of hardware, install any operating system that is allowed for that particular blockchain you want to support, and then you run it on that thing at home. But you do need to have really some knowledge and some courage to do so. So again, many of it runs on AWS and Google and Azure and all of those clouds that quote unquote make it easy. And there's even what they call platform as a service providers that provide you with a ready to go instance of these blockchains. And that's all fine. I'm not judging, I'm not criticizing, I'm not trying to make them look bad, but it does end up in a few pots again, which to a degree is again centralized, even though there's people's choice in terms of where to do it. What needs to be done, and that's where again Threefold and Digibyte now come together, is reconsider that whole foundation of it and make running a blockchain on something utility, because it needs to be something utility, really work easy everywhere and without overhead and without having to understand the fact that you need to run an operating system to do so. And again, that's where Threefold has innovated. Again, IT nerd on the IT side. We've innovated on the IT side to make an operating system that is autonomous. You don't need to maintain it. It is sitting there and it's using blockchain technology to read in a blockchain ledger what it needs to do. There's no administrator, nobody logs into it. And again, having the ability to have that Digibyte smart layer run on that within the DigiCore Labs solution, I think is breaking out of those very difficult to break out of clouds that are available today for easy to use capacity that people can just provision and support. Again, They have the right intention to support these projects, but they just don't have the alternative in terms of knowledge and capabilities to do it outside of the quote unquote centralized norm of doing so. And I hope that this marriage of the two and this joint venture brings those two together, and we can really excel into areas to have blockchain nodes run in every living room, in every barn, in every garage, in every wherever people have connectivity and power. Let's start some blockchain nodes. That's the dream.
Absolutely. And so I have one more question for Yoshi, but before I get to that, Wijnand, the underlying technology of Digi3, is there how, look, I'm not quite the nerd that you guys are. So, sometimes talking about this, I hope I don't reveal ignorance, but how does, or if I do, then I just have to move forward. It's okay, but it's okay. So what, how do you scale the underlying technology, or is there going to be difficulty to actually scale that and have it be, like with that grid? Is there challenges to scaling that technology, or are you on the way and it's not,
No, it's not. And again, I can say that with confidence because we've gone through 15 years of development at Threefold, before Threefold, and with the people that are involved in that to do so. So see it, and that's the simplest way I can describe it, as a solar panel you put on your roof, but the solar panel does not produce electricity, but it produces compute processing, compute storage, and compute transfer, so networking capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
You just connect it like a solar panel to power and network, and then it does. And that's where I think this marriage is again beautiful, because Threefold decided to go all the way down into making that utility available everywhere. And again, in your home, in your living room, in Africa, because and I know it's a difficult subject, but the current cloud providers are investing in networks to connect Africa back to their data centers that exist in where we are in the developed world. Let's be very honest. And that is a way to do it. I'm not trying to diss them, judge, or whatever, but it's not the way to empower those local economies to prosper and to grow and to become self-sufficient.
Right.
It's still making them reliable on us where we are. And that's just not right. So but it's a different show, and we can do one on that as well if you want to. But that's Threefold's mission to do so. But we've really pushed hard to make a solar panel that produces compute power, storage power, and networking power. And imagine what you can now do in your own home by having that and putting Digi3 technology on top of it to make services for enterprises. And again, the solar panel also works on top of the HQ of the largest enterprise in the world, right? You can just do it by yourself. You don't need to rely on these, again, cloud providers that are doing really well and have brought us where we are. I'm not trying to diss them at all, but it's time for a different proposition next to that centralized solution, based again on all of the boundary breaking things that these DigiByte technologies have done in terms of showing that you can do decentralized value transactions. Now we need to take it next level. Decentralized deployments, decentralized applications, decentralized everything, because we can. The technology is there.
Okay, I want to. Yep.
Just want to say that I really agree, and it sounds like you're not against central entities per se, but we want to provide an alternative that people can use, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I want to follow up on something that you said with data storage, because I know that you and you explained it in a Spaces with me so well. And so I would like to bring this audience, if they missed it, about quantum safe and what makes it quantum safe and the quantum safe data storage that you guys are building. But real quick, before we get to that, I wanted to follow up real quick with you, Yoshi, on the DigiMetaverse Smart Layer. And I saw some questions out there about that you're, and once again, I'm diving into some things that I'm excited for you to help me understand, but Solidity-based language. And I thought, and some people were skeptical of the fact that you could have that type of language built on top of the Digibyte blockchain. So how does this work, and what do they mean, even if you could help me with that, and then
Yeah, sure.
Great.
So having Solidity for as a programming language to program smart contracts is superior. It's like any programming language, whether it's C or C++ or Rust or Solidity. You can program complex tokenomics, complex tokens, whatever, complex decentralized applications on your blockchain with a fixed consensus. The problem here is, and those people you heard saying that, they're right. It's nearly impossible. In fact, I would say it's impossible to build those kind of smart contract languages on layer 1 on Digibyte. It won't work. It would blow the blockchain, and we have there's a special operator for this blockchain. It's called OP_RETURN, and you can save up to 80 bytes. And 80 bytes it's nothing per transaction. You can save a whole program in it. 80 bytes.
Right.
It's like 80 instructions if we have 1 byte per instruction, but it wouldn't work out. It would be a very simple counter program or something like that, a simple loop. But you can program real decentralized applications on it. And that's why we chose to have a layer 2 solution on top of this wonderful proof of work blockchain. So the
answer is because it's on because it's not happening on layer 1 of Digibyte. It's happening on a layer 2, and you're creating a completely new layer that will bring smart contracts, and then Digibyte will be that transaction layer and provide the decentralization and the security and all of that. And then you can do all of these exciting things on top of the Digibyte blockchain. And we're all very excited to have that happen. And
I think
we can have and then NFT artists can mint on that, and we can have our weird like psychotic bunny rabbit NFTs built on the Digibyte blockchain, right?
For example. But I think NFTs are not the only thing that's worth mentioning now. It's just having a real decentralized network, a network of applications, of maybe even games, but I'm talking about financial applications or something like that, and built on top of Digibyte, where you can transfer value like almost instantly. I think this is super cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. And then also, like you've mentioned previously, with the proof of work and the fact that is truly a decentralized thing, where it's not the proof of stake, where the richest have the biggest say and all that stuff. And
that's true.
And then I think it's worth mentioning also, because I was sort of joking about the NFTs, but also you guys are building solutions for enterprises at Digicorp. This is a focus. And so what types of things are in your head that a corporation or an enterprise can have on that decentralized layer 2?
I'll take that.
Let's hear it. I like it. You saw him look to the left, and you're like, you know what? I've got something real quick. Let's do it.
No, but once you go down this avenue, decentralization, then no third party is more in the middle anymore. And what are third parties? Maybe for the audiences that are looking at this, I mean, again, digital currencies have shown that you don't need a bank to do value transactions. It's a starting point, right? It's proven now. There's many out there, and they do it in different ways, and some are successful and some are less, depending on what you call success. But the fact is that anything today that we do goes through a third party. Think about it. So again, I don't know how this is being recorded, because this is relatively new to me, but it's a company that receives our streams, puts it very nicely together, and there's a controller that controls it, that we trust, and that does what it needs to do, right? I mean, that's what it is. And There's Zoom, same thing. There's Google Meet. There's these things that are going through third parties, and you can argue. And again, I don't want to be political, and I don't want to get political in this thing, because that's a difficult topic, I think, and not something that I'm very good at. So I'm trying to stay away from it. But what about thinking that you can run your own video conferencing solution on decentralized, neutral infrastructure, like a solar panel, like I said earlier, that might exist even in your premises, that you might really power up, because that's all it needs, power up, and say, this is where I want to be communicating with my workforce. So Digi3 has the video conferencing solution that runs on a grid where you decide where you want your connection point to be. And think about it, it's not very hard. Right now, Zoom, and let's call all of them, Teams and Google Meet, they have these facilities where we can all connect in masses to communicate. But that is not the only way, because if we have a certain company that has 100 employees, and those 100 employees speak with each other and with maybe 1,000 customers, then we can create a facility that deals with that without using Zoom or without using Google Meet. And that's what Digi3 is offering. You create your video conferencing solution on your private sovereign infrastructure. You control it with your private keys, just like you control any digital currency with your private key. And you log into that, no username, password. You authenticate yourself against that without a username and password. And you are who you are on that corporate structure with your sovereign identity. Yeah. And again, with this whole situation that we're in for the last 2 years, this has become really, really important, right? Because we do want to communicate, we do want to see, and we not always are able to do that in a physical way. So we need to have alternatives. And again, the alternatives that are out there are fantastic. They work and they have worked. So nothing to complain about that. But again, there's always somebody overlooking what you're doing. And if you're in the world of wanting to be independent of that, then here is a solution to actually get to. And the other thing is storage. And storage sounds like a very boring word, but we all store data, and we store data more and more and more every day. We get better phones, take better pictures, we create bigger documents and richer documents with all sorts of very cunning ways to interact with people, but those all need to be stored. And again, the default route that we do that is with Microsoft 365. Can I mention those names? I mean, tell me if I think so.
No, mention them. Yeah.
Microsoft 365, we do it in Google Docs, we do it in all of the alternatives. If we are going fringe, we seek for some decentralized offers, but they're not mainstream yet. And what we're doing at Digi3 is making, and again, it's the coming together again of blockchain-based decentralized identity and owning your own, no username, password required, be yourself, and the IT part of it. And if you put those two together, then actually you can create a sovereign space. And again, I'm going to use, I guess, a bit of difficult words, but you are able to create a sovereign space in which you host your application, and you can decide where, whatever your governance structure says. Like your company operates in Europe and you need your data to be in Europe, then within the Digi3 solution space, you can say, I only want to be using hardware and compute and data storage facilities that are within Europe. Again,
that's
blockchain allows you.
So cool.
Blockchain allows you to say with a very specific perimeter, this is what we can use as hardware, as physical infrastructure. And then you can say, I'm willing to be able to be in data centers that are not known and that are not me, or I want to deploy my own stuff and be on my own stuff. I mean, both of them are are as simple as doing it with existing cloud providers, or you can say, I want to do a perimeter outside of where I am, and I want to use some coffee table based infrastructure of people participating in building this foundational layer for the metaverse, and I want to be inside people's homes, and I trust that.
Right.
Again, the ring fencing is a mechanism where you can decide what your reality will be and where your data will reside, and then making it, and that's, I guess, maybe too much because I speak a lot about this, but making it quantum safe means that we don't actually store the data that you store. We make a description of your data and then disperse it, for lack of a better word,
Right.
over as much as possible devices that you allow, again, within your governance structure for provisioning. We disperse it over as much devices as you allow for, and then it sits in many different devices in many different places in a way that it doesn't have any of the original fragments of the data. And it is a description of that data, which makes it, for a quantum computer, that's why we call it quantum safe. They cannot undo the encryption. They cannot undo and get back to the original parts of the data that are stored. And again, other projects fragment data as well and disperse it over many devices, but they rely on encryption being the protectorate of their data.
Right.
We go one step further. We make a data description, and I can go into mathematics, but I don't think you want me to go there.
Maybe not. Yeah, but
maybe not now. But think
Not
of it as a
today.
picture. And just two more lines. I'm sorry to
no. This is
think of a
I'm
picture which has a person in it, and the person, you can describe a person very accurately by I don't know, 100 lines, right? And I always think of Marilyn Monroe. Don't ask me why, but she's got a red dress, she's got blonde hair, she's got red lipstick. I mean, you can sort of get descriptions of what that photo looks like, very detailed. And then you sort of erase and don't store the photo, but you erase all of the descriptions of the photo. And then by getting all of the descriptions back into one place, you can sort of remake the photo very accurately, depending on how much descriptions you stored. And again, we at Digi3 and Threefold and Digibyte came up with a way to do that in a very, very effective way that you can get 100% of the original data back. And that's a fantastic technology that's now available.
That's you know amazing. What I love about the technology? It doesn't seem to have any disadvantages, because it's also very simple to use, and it's a real alternative for the centralized solutions out there.
Yeah,
that's what I love about
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a couple of things to say about what you said, Wyndon. First, I think I have an idea why you keep on going to that Marilyn Monroe image, but we won't discuss that. but and then and second, I was going to say, when you're talking about the video conferencing as well, of course, we've all relied on this more over the last couple of years, and hopefully things are getting back to normal. We're going to open things up, and the future is bright, but we're going to be very used to this for corporations and businesses. I think they're realizing that, we don't need to fly. We don't need to, we can do a lot of this stuff from the comfort of our homes. And just having small children in school, we had experience of people, Zoom bombing, jumping in on those streams. I was even in at the height of 2020, having strangers jump into my friends' Zoom calls. So these solutions aren't secure, and I think a corporation, a company that is having, secret conversations wants to make sure that that's staying in house. So that's, I think, a really cool thing that's being built. Okay, so just winding down here, I did want to ask one more thing, Yoshi. You're also working on a DigiMetaverse smart wallet or DigiMetaverse wallet, correct? So
yeah, right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? What makes that special, and how that's looking?
So the current plan we have is to have Digibyte and the DGMV smart layer integrated into that wallet. So we'll offer a just a normal wallet with multi-sig, with
Mm-hmm.
a very good security to the mass, but also like a connection to the smart layer. That's what makes it special. It's not just for the smart layer itself, but also for the community. And I think people are gonna love this wallet. I will make sure that they love it.
I believe you. I believe you. And so, just on a timeline question, when I think a lot of people are very excited about this layer 2 solution on Digibyte. How are you seeing this on the roadmap here? How far along are you? How what are we seeing here?
I can't tell too much right now because we are still trying to make up a concept for the whole system, for all the systems, and we have something in the pipeline that we might consider adding, but we're not sure yet.
Okay.
But I hope it will be mid this year or by the end of this year. I'm not sure. But
okay, okay. So that's very soon, or that's potentially soon. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
That's what I wish. But programming is always very stressful, and there's a bug here and bug there, and yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it has to be secure, and it has to be right.
That's
obviously.
the point. That's the point.
That's the most important thing. Yeah. And with Digi3, and we've had some announcements of proof of concepts, and already working with different corporations. Are you seeing some exciting things coming soon over there, or have you? Is there what's going on over there? Is there anything to get people a little excited here about partnerships and things like that?
Bubbling, definitely.
Yeah.
There's one which has been announced, but I'll just repeat. So Liquid Moly, the petrochemical industry has signed up for some services, including the things that I mentioned in terms of video conferencing, secure to them, private to them. Individuals have their own space in which they can because in the end, decentralization is not difficult. Let's again, I don't want to wipe you off the screen, Joshua and myself as an IT nerd, but once you get your own little self-sovereign space and see it as an island in a sea of capacity, it's your island, and you invite people to come to your island or to your home that's even maybe more close to where we are all today. It's not about going to a community place and meeting people over there, which is what Zoom does. That is okay and it works because we've all done it. But what about inviting people in your own home? And again, we all are more aware of risks and stuff if we do so. So what we provide is a digital means of creating your own online home with all of the features and services that you can get. Again, you've got photos in your home. You can share those photos out with other people, but you have to invite them in your home, right? So what we're doing is we're building for enterprises these digital spaces that are theirs. And we invite people, customers, partners, channels, whatever you want, inside your home, and you manage your home and you manage the access to your assets. That's what we do. So first one that adopted that and it is going to go for it is Liquid Moly in Asia Pacific, and really proud of having them, a big brand, and they're doing it, and they're starting to trial it at the end of January, beginning of February. Fantastic.
That's fantastic.
The other ones I would like to talk about, but I can't because, as we know, the POC is very early stage, and we're a new company, but I can talk about what we're envisioning and what we're trying to achieve with them. And again, back to also Yoshi, having IT nerd, right? IT nerd speaking, first and foremost, having applications that do things for people, and video conferencing being one, with this merger with blockchain, we can now start really logging and tracking people's activities into a blockchain. And the two aspects of a blockchain that are really important to highlight here is it's immutable. So when you commit it, it's there. And it's always append. So it's always appending data to it. So if you think about it, IT applications and who does what and who has done what is a really big problem in the world of IT. If you add blockchain technology to it and you merge the two worlds and you start to be able to see for very good purposes, and again, with all the constructs of privacy and what have you, because those needs to be respected. But what people have done in terms of archiving data, in terms of accessing data, in terms of changing data, in terms of doing all those things with data that we do on a daily basis, that is a very powerful prospect to go forward to market with. And the 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 maybe POCs that we've got lined up are all about that. And they come from, again, more petrochemical, insurance, some banking. They're coming to us from all over the place. And again, thank you for, in this case, the DigiByte community, because they've built all of the lead-ins and all of the people that support the DigiByte community that work in those organizations, that have pushed us forward into those organizations and have made us at the forefront of trying to do POCs with them or doing POCs with them.
That's fantastic.
DigiByte's community is special. It's just special. I've been out there to other communities and it's different.
Yeah. Well, and I also have a personal experience with that as well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, all right. So just, I think we did it. And just to leave here, I think this was such a great talk. I've learned a lot, and just to kind of maybe sign off, what is it right now that you're working on that's got you the most excited? It can be what we discussed today, or it can be something else.
Oh.
My earbuds are telling me to wind it down. But yeah, I just would like to hear, like, what is exciting you today? What's getting you kind of juiced up and wanting to work and making it feel not like work or something,
It's Wynand. Every time he talks, it's motivating me as well. It's so cool.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's cool. I get it.
For me, the other way around. I mean, it's making this bridge. It's making this bridge of something that I've been very passionate about, and now bridging it with something that is a very large community where there are very, very influential supporters in the DigiByte world. And again, we come from a background of inventing and innovating on the IT side, and merging the two, I think, is going to be the new reality.
It's a game changer.
Yeah,
it is, and we can do so, but we come from very different backgrounds, which is beautiful in a way. Again, and we didn't talk about that. One more statement. I'm sorry, Cooper, but I will take one more minute. A few of the people that we currently are with invented, and it sounds so simple right now, deduplication of backup data in the early 2000s. And imagine these data centers growing with number of servers, and they all had either Linux installs or Windows installs, right? And all of these different customers were requiring backups. And those backup solutions were backing up thousands of times of the same Windows operating system files and the same Linux operating system files. The guys that we work with invented deduplication of it, which meant that the same Windows operating system files were only backed up once, because you don't need more, maybe twice, right?
Yeah,
just
redundancy.
And it's that kind of innovation that now comes and meets blockchain to go for the next level. And that is actually the next level that we need to go to. And that is the exciting bit. And that's where you ask me, where do I get enthusiastic? Well, that's where I get enthusiastic, because this is a get together which will go places and which will be the next norm.
Through the roof.
All right. Well, I mean, this was a fantastic chat. I'm so glad that we did this. And of course, I want you back on as soon as you would like to come back on. And, as things start to get revealed, and, and these enterprises and corporations rightfully start to adapt this technology and to incorporate it. Of course, we want to talk about it on this show. And I think securing our identity and owning our data is such an important mission of the time. And so just on a retail personal, individual, level. That's how I feel. And so that is one of the things that I'm most enthusiastic about being part of here at the DigiMetaverse show and all of that. So thank you two so much for coming on. And until next time.
Thanks for having us.
So much, Cooper. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that interview. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of the DigiMetaverse show. And look, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends, retweet us, post it on Twitter, do all the things to help make this channel grow. Thank you, Yoshi. Thank you, Vinon, for coming on the show. I had a great time talking to you. And to all of you, thank you for watching. And yeah, folks, let's make sure that the future of technology is in our hands. Let's make sure that the future of the internet is in our hands. Let's own our own data. Let's protect our privacy. Let's maintain decentralization. And let's make sure that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't own it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's important. Have a great rest of your night, folks. Thank you for watching.